All right, we're recording now too. But if anybody misses it, you guys can go back and get it. Okay. Since there's no questions on that, let's start with gratitude. I know we started with prayer. What are you guys grateful for in your Ignite journey and in this learning process?
Jody, I was trying to say something the last time, but I think I came in too late.
I'm sorry.
But I wanted to say that 2 of my Care Calls people I invited today are on the call right now for the first time.
Awesome.
So I'd like to challenge all of us to go out and get 2 more people because they're missing a wealth of knowledge on these calls.
Okay. I love that. Thank you, Deidre.
And that's something I'm grateful for too, to be able to sit in an opportunity to hear the training or receive the training. And not only that, I've gone on KW Connect and I've pulled a lot of information from there, from where they had the previous presentations.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been very helpful.
And Nada, if you can share what you shared with me this morning, that would help a lot of people, I think.
Well, Miss Deidre, you know, our conversation started off with my buyer being a little discouraged and, you know, just not finding that property that fit her price range. And we've been searching and searching. But let me tell you, the power of prayer, as soon as I prayed over my laptop and jumped on MLS, they started popping up. So we went from 1 viewing today to 4. So just keeping her motivated and keeping that prayer in mind as well.
Awesome. Love that.
And also, if Zoom wasn't online, you wouldn't be in Ignite right now. That's what I wanted to say.
Yes.
Well, we should have bought stock in Zoom some time ago.
Yeah. It definitely is able to allow us to transform and adapt and be able to continue our business and encourage each other through, you know, there's a lot of people right now, especially for the people whose love languages are time and touch. Those are being challenged right now. And so for those that can't hug their loved ones or are used to giving people hugs or high fives or fist pumps, it's kind of taken a toll on some people. So this at least gives us the opportunity to kind of connect with people visually and make us still feel that we're in one room, you know, on the computer and stuff. So we'll go from there on that. Uh-oh, my screen just popped over. Okay. What are you guys excited about, either in your business or what's happening with your business or with Ignite?
Good morning, everyone. This is Stephanie. And from our sessions last week, I actually had a customer call me. She wasn't really a customer. We visited maybe 3 years ago. But anyway, she called me because she's looking to put a property on the line and on the market and wondering if it's a good time. Mm-hmm. And from the sessions that I went through last week, I was able to, go through some steps that might encourage her or give her the correct knowledge on whether this is a good time to list and also at what price.
Awesome. Anybody else? Thank you for sharing, Stephanie.
I will share. I am trying to my intent is to double down, with the intention of making about 40 calls a day. So I've gone through my database and connecting with people. And when I look at my database and I just don't recognize a person's name, well, this called this one particular young lady and didn't remember who she was from my database, but I was glad that I called because my intention was to have like a 5-minute conversation with her just to check in, blah, blah, blah. And it turned into almost an hour with her. And she was happy that I called, right? And so she just talking about just different things and sharing, you know, the challenges having right now, COVID-19, and she and I talked. We actually prayed online, and that just kind of opened up opportunities for other things that are forthcoming with her. So, you know, definitely following up with her and just moving forward. So she has a stepsister who is in real estate, and she said, I want to introduce you to my sister. She said, I think you would be a good influence on her. And she said, I'm going to call her and I want you two to connect. And so that was a blessing. Well, the whole conversation was a blessing.
That's awesome.
Double down.
Yeah. And think about, you just didn't skip over that. So you got a double blessing for that. Guys, and think about it this way. If we're using this month to do those care calls, even if it's not to just ask about business and just check in on people, when we roll into Bold in May, then you've earned the right to have a different conversation with them because you've called to check in this month. And then next month, as you're rolling through and it's time to connect again, it's not like they haven't heard from you in a year. They've just recently heard from you in the last 3 to 6 weeks. And then you can then kind of roll in a little bit easier to ask them, who do they know, type of thing. So just keep that in mind. So if you haven't started those care calls yet, it's not too late. We'll kind of go over some of that. And if y'all want to run scripts or role play and to just get comfortable with that, we can definitely do some of that. So today we'll kind of focus on how to cultivating our leads into seller opportunities. So what I'm going to do now is share my screen for the PowerPoint. This works. I think I went a little too quickly. Okay. Can everybody see the screen? Okay.
Yes.
Remember, if you want to see everybody's faces, there is the grid view or the gallery view that that you guys can use. I don't know, do your faces in your gallery, does it go to the top of the screen or is it on the side right now whenever y'all see my screen?
Mine
Mine
on
On the side.
Mine moved to the bottom.
Okay. So there's 4 little options. There's one line and then like 2 thumbnails, and then there's something that looks like 9, a little 9 grid. So y'all can click on that and y'all can see the full screen that says what we'll focus on today. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Okay,
Right.
awesome. Just, I can't see. All right, perfect. So what we'll focus on today is growing your business part, the lead generating for buyers and sellers, and on running your business part, we'll focus on setting goals and attending training and getting coaching, which you guys are already on here, so you're already doing, but we'll talk about the importance of that. So we know that there's no secret in being a successful real estate agent. We know that success leaves clues, and that we know what successful agents do every single day. They grow their business, they lead generate, they make seller listing presentations and get listings, they make buyer presentations to get listings, they preview real estate. And in order for them to run their business, and I'm sure you guys are seeing this day after day, so this should be time number 5. When they're running their business, we market seller listings, we show buyer houses, we negotiate contracts, we work on transactions management, that contract to close process, vendor management, we connect with the lenders, the home inspectors, the appraisers, we set goals, we look at compliance and risk management, we attend trainings, we get coaching, and then of course we manage our money. So that's the important for us to not only grow our business every day, but then that's how you run your business. Any questions on any of those? Okay. I think I jumped ahead. So the next step is that we envision your big life. And I know that we've talked about over the last couple of days, we've talked about your big why. Does anybody feel that maybe they haven't kind of developed their big why or their big why for their now? Everybody's got their big why? Jimmy, you have yours? Or you need help getting yours? What was the wave? You don't have it? So we need to work on it with you, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, yeah. I need to get back into things. You know,
Okay.
this year has been a little rough so far, and I've been a little sidetracked, but getting back in there now.
Okay, awesome. So we'll work together. We can work together on that, and we can pull Deidre in as well, and we can kind of help you with that. So then that way, once you know you have your big why, or we revise it or rewrite it, because sometimes it is ever changing, and then we can work on the 411s and that kind of stuff. So thank you for being open about that.
He had a big why. His big why have changed is what he's trying to say right now.
Yes. Yeah. And I love that, because it shows everybody else that it can change. And when it changes, that's okay. We just know to revisit it and kind of take it from there and plan from there. So it's not, your one why is not always your same why. So totally agree, Deidre. Anyone else? Okay. So once you're setting that big why, you can start setting some goals and then completing a 411. Does anybody have a 411? Does anybody use the 411 tool?
I'm not sure what it is.
Okay. So it's, I will show you guys that. Did Katie
You
just
can-
have?
That's her next appointment.
Okay.
I can send it in the recap if you want.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So it is on the Ignite, the tool drive that everybody has access to. There is a 411 form, and we can kind of go over some of that as well. Okay. So we're going to do a couple things today. We're going to go over setting goals, which is part of Run Your Business. To do that, we're going to ask a couple questions. Where do you want to go? What is your motivation? And then certainly not least is, how do we get there? So that's why today's goal module is called Setting Goals, Goals That Matter. And what do y'all think makes a goal matter?
It gives you something to work towards.
Okay.
So Jody, I developed a 411 action plan, and just from listening to coaches and top producers, like the 411 action plan that we have, that those who developed one have in place right now, pre-COVID-19, those may have to be put on the shelf for now. Restructure some things, right? And so I hadn't had an opportunity at this point to restructure it, my strategic action plan, but I do know that I have to redevelop some things until, if this, like they're saying, if this, if the new normal does not change, right? If we don't go back to the way things were, we have to reassess, how we are doing things at this point. What I need to work on.
Absolutely, and I think it's important. This time has given us some opportunity to be able to understand that we need to adapt. We need to relook at the goals. We need to relook at our action plan. We need to relook at our 411. So as we're kind of doing this through here, as things change again, we may need to look at that in the next month, in the next 6 weeks, in the next 3 months, we might be looking at it again. And that's why it's important for your 411 to be done monthly, right? And that 411 will coincide with the goals that you set, or as some use the form, the 135. What's the one goal? The 3 strategies, 3 priorities, and 5 strategies. And we'll get you copies of all of that for us to use it. And then if we want to do individual calls or breakout sessions, or if we want to do it together, we can certainly kind of go over that and help everybody create that for them. So thank you for sharing. So who we are and where we want to go will determine what we do and what we will accomplish. And that's from the One Thing. Most of you should have heard about the One Thing. It's the book written by Gary Keller and Jay Papasan about how to structure your life and achieve your goals. So we'll talk about a few principles from the One Thing, and kind of go from there. And I know we talked about why it's important to set goals. Anybody else want to share a little bit more on why they feel it's important to set goals?
You have something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
Hold yourself accountable.
Love that.
I was going to say similar to keeping you accountable, just to keep you on track.
Mm-hmm.
Giving you directions, knowing what you're working towards, what you should be planning to work towards.
And then also too, it's in the shift book. I can't remember the page. I've been taking notes. I would have to go back a minute. But in the book, it says that, you know, in a shift, you have to be purposeful and you have to know the direction you're going. And, you know, your purpose has to be on point, because right now we can't afford to not be on point, right?
Mm-hmm.
Can't afford to not know and have direction to where we're going, because everything that we do matters at this point.
Absolutely. Who else wants to share?
I think it also keeps you focused on the direction that you're moving in. Because a lot of times, I know with me being a new agent, you know, I'm glad for the time that you know, I'm devoting the time to get as much training that I can, because I have to tell the truth, it's overwhelming sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it keeps you focused when you set goals.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and Gail, you bring up a great point. When we start to get overwhelmed with what's on our plate, when we have our goals and we have them written down, you can go back to them, and then those goals and those strategies will help kind of reel you back in, so where you know what that purpose is and you know how to stay focused, to kind of get back on track, especially when the world around you is chaotic at times and is a little overwhelming. So it's also important to set goals, because the opposite of this quote is also true. What you do and what you accomplish determines who you are and where you go. If your activities don't have a guiding goal, you'll likely be very busy and not have a lot to show for it. Kind of goes back to the bold law, don't confuse movement with achievement, right? We can find ourselves becoming very busy and doing a list of things or completing tasks, yet it doesn't have any purpose and doesn't really, we don't have anything to show for it. And as you guys know, the kind of rolls into that KW mission of building careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. And none of those things would happen without everyone having their goals set and written out. So it really does matter. And when our work matters, we tend to do more of it, and we do it very well. So part of achieving goals is working towards those and working hard. And we all know that we need to put in that time and effort. So in looking at this graph, what else do you feel is important in setting and meeting goals? Everybody sees the graph, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Action will be and very important.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that, Sophia?
Action, yeah, actions. We can set goals, but if we're not doing nothing to move them along, it don't make sense.
Right, absolutely.
You won't get anywhere. It's like getting in the car and expecting it to move.
Yeah,
It to take you where you want to go.
exactly. Who else is open to sharing? What do y'all think?
Also, too, actions, they've got to be consistent every day. It can't be on and off, on and off, on and off, because we still don't get very far.
Yeah.
I like the title of these sessions, Ignite, because sticking with it every day helps you to ignite the habits that you need to get the goals that you want.
Absolutely. And I think also that you can do this in different parts, using the Ignite or the time in different parts of your life, not just your business part. You can also, we all know that real estate's not just real estate, it encompasses all of us. We can use this time to ignite. We want to put more time to maybe our devotionals, whether it's a morning or an afternoon thing. If you decide that you want to put more time and more action into getting out, walking, riding a bike, just focusing on things that are going to make you be a better version of you. So this is, I like the way that you put that, Stephanie. All right. Anyone else? So you don't get big outcomes from thinking small. And when we talk about thinking here, we're talking about thinking big when setting goals and thinking big on how to reach those goals. I find times where as we're setting goals, we set what's comfortable. And so what we can do, you want to set big goals, and then we have stepping stones towards those goals. And if setting goals overwhelms you, then set 2 goals. Set a goal that you feel is achievable, and then you set your stretch goal. You increase that, so that way you're shooting for your stretch goal, and you know that you won't fall short of your target goal and of your original goal that you want to set. So it's a good question. A couple questions to ask yourself is, what are you doing? How do you do it? Who are you doing it with? And then based on these answers, that either will propel you forward or it will limit your outcome. So those are just some good questions to kind of think about. Another question to ask yourself is, how big is your box? If you're not thinking big, you're already creating that artificial ceiling of achievement where you're not going to get past that. We've got to use those actions to break through. Anybody want to share a little bit about maybe when they set a goal or where it was limiting yourself and your business by thinking small? Or maybe was there an opportunity or was there a time where you hit the goal that you set, yet because of a great coach or because somebody was there with you, and you, looking back, didn't think that was even attainable? And it doesn't have to be real estate related. It can be something personal. It could be a course that you took or nobody.
I'll share. I said when I initially got into real estate, I've been licensed since 2006. And at that time, I was still employed. So real estate wasn't my primary source of income. And years ago, I looked at something where people showed what their income was. And I wondered, because one, do you all remember, they may still print it, Parade magazine, and they tell you what people are making around the country, and they give you different careers or professionals and show you what they made. And there was one real estate professional, this is a really long time ago, but she had made like $24,000 in her career. And then there was another real estate agent that had made $1 million. And it's like, how is there that big of a difference what you can make in real estate?
Right.
But still being employed, having another primary source of income, I looked at it as, I was more on the 24,000 level and thinking, if I get a deal every now and then, 1 or 2 every month or so, that would be good. And then in 2009, I left Capital One, and I was still kind of thinking that way, but that wasn't going to support me. So I had to, shoot a little higher. I had to raise my expectations of myself. And when you realize that, again, real estate is something where you can make a living, a good living, but you have to apply yourself.
Absolutely. Anybody else?
It's
Okay.
Linda. Mine's a little different. I listened to the class the other day, and it was about just making out care calls. And I don't have that many people in my database. And I just happened to call a couple people, and it was really true. I found out one girl had the virus, and I was able to go and pick up some fast food and drop it off by her. And then everybody I called, and I set myself a time limit, they were like happy to talk, they really wanted to talk, and I felt good. Then I had a friend, well, an associate, send me an email about a new project she's working on. And I thought, oh, well, that's nice, but it's not for me. And she was like, oh, will you share it on your Facebook page for me? And I thought at that time, you should have just reached out to me, just caught up, and then maybe on another call, asked me to do that. So I thought, that's what's so good about these care calls, is because now we're just connecting with people to see how they're doing. And that's true. When the time comes around again, I can call and ask about the real estate needs. I was just like, I hadn't talked to you in so long. You could have at least just called to see how we were doing and then save that for another time. So to me, that really resonated on what we're doing and what the plan going forward is.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else?
With those calls, this is Stephanie again.
Yeah.
With those calls, yesterday being Easter, and you know how all the time, sometimes people say they only get messages or anything, birthday cards from the people they do business with. And that's probably, something that people in business do to try and stay connected. But yesterday, in going through all the contacts that I wanted to send some type of Easter greeting just to say, hey, how you doing, whatever, oh my God, it's got so many people. And I looked and I said, oh my God, look at all these people I need to call. And I did a quick little, I think 8-second video just to say hi, happy Easter, and take care. And, I got so many responses back, but it just, looking at my database, like, you got a lot of work to do and you have a lot of people you need to connect with again.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's important to kind of set up systems around that. So you're making the calls, it's that 33 touch that that we have where it's systematically, so even if you can automate an email or you can automate a text message from time to time to help you then, and then you're just reaching out 4 to 5 times a year with that phone call. Maybe more for those that you know that maybe connect better via phone call versus email. And so we know that sometimes agents limit themselves with not having, either not being open to calling their sphere and just hope and pray that business comes their way. Maybe they're not systematic about lead generation. Maybe they don't want to learn scripts, whether they just don't like it, whether they're afraid of it. Many of those agents don't stay in the business because they treat it as a business, or they're burnout because they aren't seeing a good return for their time and effort. And we know what time and effort we put in today is what our actions will show in 90 days. And so it's important for us to make these care calls, continue to reach out. So as it's rolling through, we see the success of what we're doing today. Sometimes it's not an immediate win or an outcome. Sometimes it's just connecting, and other times it is picking up the phone or having that person call us saying, hey, I'm ready to buy right now. Can y'all see this full screen, or is it? Yeah, it just looks like it's cut off.
Is one side of it with this the diagram and the other says My Big Life?
Yeah, so in my eyes, it looks like it's cut off, yet as I'm looking at the actual screen on another computer, it's not cut off. So, you know, in the, what we have on the screen is it looks like their target is to make 364,000, so they can donate 5,000 to the cat Austin Pets Alive. They can get Sarah and Hunter through school debt-free. They can pay off their mortgage, and I believe the mortgage looks like maybe 18,000. And then there's another part on the screen, the two left sides that aren't even on there. So what we'll do now is an activity which will help you envision your big life. And then once you have that vision in place, you can set meaningful goals that will help bring all of that closer to life. And then once you have those goals, we can talk about how to reach them, but ultimately it begins with your vision. So for those of you that have your participant guides, do y'all want to open to page 3? Does everybody have their participant guides? Okay, we probably need to.
I don't think I have one. What, was it email?
Yes, it was in the last recap email for anybody that attended the previous Ignite. Got it. Yet I will send to all the new people right now.
Okay, I have the recap. I'll just have to go there.
Katie, can we put it in the comments? Can we put a link, or is it, no?
The link, the chat box is not clickable. So
Oh, right now?
No.
Okay.
So I'll email it.
Okay. All right, let's just do this. Okay. So there's 5 rectangles in that participant, in that box. And it's asking you to write a person or a cause that you care about in each of those 5 boxes. So let me see if I can quickly show you what that looks like, and then potentially you can draw it. Y'all give me a second. I want to show you guys. Since y'all don't have it, I want y'all to be able to get it. Spark 5. Okay. I'm gonna unshare my screen for just a moment. And let's see if I can pull it up so that you guys can see it while Katie's working on that. Okay. Share screen. Can y'all see this?
Yes.
Okay, so that's the page that we're talking about. So if you guys want to just kind of sketch that out, if you don't have it in front of you, if you guys just want to sketch it out on a piece of paper real quick, and then we'll dive into how to fill that out. Let me know when you guys are done.
Okay, with just the drawing or filling it in?
Let's start with the drawing, and then you can start filling it in. So for each of the 5 rectangles, write a person or a cause that you care about. What impact you want to have on them and how much that would cost. So whether that's funding school, private school, Catholic school, college for your child, children or grandchildren, whether that's paying off a mortgage, whether it's buying investment property, whether it's doing home renovations. Maybe it's caring for your parents as they age, paying for a vacation for you and your family, or you and your bestie. Being a named supporter of a cause that's important to you, whether it's a local animal shelter, a women's shelter, maybe it's serving on the board of a charity that you care about. Perhaps that big life includes prioritizing your health so you can have more time and energy to give, paying off your student loans. Put some things in there and an estimate of how much each would cost. How's everybody doing with it?
Coming along.
Good, okay. So keep in mind that the rectangles are going to represent your big life, and then the center circle is your goal. So if you can't think of 5, that's okay. If you've got 7 or 8 that you feel are big that you want to add on there, just because the boxes aren't there, add a box. Let's freelance it with, if it's more than 5, that's okay. Put it on there so you can see it. So adding to these boxes helps us to kind of set part of that vision. And then that will allow us to help achieve that goal. So as y'all are kind of finishing up, just let me know when y'all are done, either through typing in the text box or raising your hand or unmuting. We'll give everybody just a few more minutes, maybe another 2 minutes to kind of finish up. And then if any of you guys need help with this, we can always circle back and help individually as well. Okay. So thank you guys for taking the time to start doing some of this and thinking about it. And this stuff can change, right? We know that things change, different things become important to us. Maybe as we hit one goal, we want to add another, or we want to change it up a little bit. So it's good where we are, and it's good to start. Go to my new share. All right, back to this one. Okay. So now that we've done that, we can start to understand our goals. So as you take each of those 5, or whether it's 3 or whether it's 8, take each of those and add it up to the center so that you know that's your target, that's your goal.
Say that again, Jody. What are we doing?
As you add up those squares, the number of squares that you have, you want that to be brought to the center. So the next part of this, we'll go over it a little bit for those that are with us today that are just getting started and that are young in the industry. And we'll just kind of talk about how the commissions work. We know that without having some of this knowledge, many new agents get the first check, their first commission check, see that number and think all of that money is going to go to them. It's going to go to their pocketbook, and not realizing that there's potentially some business expenses that go along with that. And so that's the importance of planning for those business expenses. We know that if we're on the listing side and we're listing a property for 6%, we need to make sure that we understand that not all 6% goes to the listing agent, right? It gets split. And so That's sometimes a challenge for folks to understand. There's your market center or your business or your brokerage. There may be either flat fees or your market center split. After that, there might be some marketing expenses that you've incurred or some operating expenses, perhaps signs, your vehicle, your phone, different things that you need to conduct and grow your business. So it's important to know some of those expenses. And then finally, after all that, you get your portion and your share. Yet we need to remember that we need to put away for taxes. Being in this industry, whether you're doing it on the individual level or whether you're creating an LLC or an S Corp, you are responsible for paying the taxes on that. And your take home includes the taxes that you need to delegate. To put aside. You don't want to get into it not being put money aside for taxes, and then 6 months from now or a year from now, you realize that you have about $12,000 worth of taxes to pay because you didn't put it aside. So, any questions or comments on that?
I do. So are we taxing our take home or are we taxing the complete net that we bring from our commission?
You are your take home. So you are 1099 on the amount that is your take home, after your split.
After the split and after our business expenses also?
No. So that's where you're going to get with your accountant or your CPA to do those taxes for you. I mean, your tax is ultimately going to be baked. Depends on how you do it. If you're doing it as an individual, you're taxed on your income. If you're putting it into a business account, then the taxes are based on what your business produces.
Okay.
So a good practice, I would say, is your state taxes are 4%. A good practice is anywhere between 20 and 24%. Yet again, I'm going to defer you to your accounting or your CPA for them to kind of go through that. Yet my recommendation is for every single check that you receive to put aside in a separate account anywhere between 20 and 24%. That way, you have it when it comes time to pay it. Once you get yourself to a certain level, you may have to start paying quarterly. And so you need to make sure that you're setting that aside.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments?
Question regarding that, and again, it may be for your CPA, but in those amounts, if you may want to pay yourself, you have to set a certain amount aside so that you can pay yourself. And you have to leave some to operate the business, but you also have to pay yourself, because otherwise, if you don't eat, pay your gas bills and stuff. So just remember to pay yourself.
Yes. Absolutely. Okay.
Hey, Jody, and that brings in another topic, but another book that everybody could look at is that Profit First.
Yes, absolutely. I think we can probably put that in the comments. Kathy, you want to share the name of that book in the comments?
Sure.
And that's on Audible, Amazon. It's a great book. We've done a couple sessions at the office on that. And if you guys want to get back into that book club or just conversations around that, let us know. We can certainly add that back. Okay. So one of the things that will help you kind of setting your goals is knowing your numbers. For those that have been in the business, that have some transactions under their belt, you're going to want to know what your numbers are. Basically, what is your average sales price? What is your average commission? You can do this through command. You can do it. I've done mine for years on a spreadsheet that I put who the buyer or the seller was, how I picked them up as a client. Was it referral? If it was a referral, who was the referral from? Was it based off of a sign call? Was it because of door knocking? Was it because of postcards that went out? So that I could know where all of my business was coming from. So I knew what to focus on. Average sales price, this is just an example for here. I would tell you that for on a conservative side, and I always like to go conservative, on a conservative side, if you don't have your numbers and don't know your numbers, let me know and I can help you to find those. Yet, if you don't have a number, then for your goals, I would base your average sales price off of 175,000. Some people it might be 200, some people it may be more. Conservative side, without a number of transactions under your belt, I would use the 175. With your average commission, what we're seeing in the market right now, through what we're pulling from MLS and from Broker Metrics, is it's about a 2.5% commission rate. Now, we know that we can control the commission when we're getting the listings and we're listing for 6% and splitting 3 and 3. We don't have control when we're working with the buyers unless we're using a buyer's agreement. Some people are offering 2%, some people are offering 3%, just kind of depends. So I think that's why it's a good, if you don't know what your average commission is on a conservative level, you can use 2.5, 2.7. Any questions on that? Okay. No. Okay. All right. Let me move this to the other side. Hope it doesn't. So this should also be in your participant guide as far as your net income goal. You take out your company dollar and royalty cap, and for us, that's 18.5. You can take out any business expenses, and this is just a sample. And then you realize, then you can back into your numbers. Does anybody want to go over what this would look like for them? Like if you have a goal that you want to reach, does everybody know how many transactions they need in order to reach their goal? Does anybody want to do an example and we can kind of walk you through that? Awesome. Everybody's on mute. Everybody's quiet.
I hear you, Jody. just waiting.
So everybody knows how many transactions a year they need to do to hit their goal?
Not at all.
Okay.
There we go.
Thank you for being open and honest about that. Would you like to do it? Would you like to go over that?
I would love to. I'm actually getting in the car driving, so I'm kind of like on listen mode.
I'm looking for mine, Jody. I did it with Nicole
Okay.
early on, but I just have to find my paper.
Okay. Let's do this so that it's not, if people don't want to be singled out, and I apologize if I kind of called anybody out, but let's do a couple things, right? Let's look at it for somebody that would like to make 50,000 a year, right? And then we'll do one for somebody that wants to make 100,000 a year, and then we'll kind of go from there. Does that sound fair and okay with everybody?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, awesome. All right. So we know if we want to, actually, Command will do all of this for you, yet for those of you that haven't jumped on or just want to see it in paper, and I'm looking down because I've got my calculator right here. Okay, so in order to make 50,000, if we want to add, so if for take home is 50, we want to go ahead and add that 18.5 to it for a total of 68.5, and that 18.5 is the company dollar split, and right at about that 50,000, 51,000 mark is where you cap, okay? So with that, we're gonna make it 65.5. If you divide that, okay, if you divide that by 2.5%, which is the average commission rate according to Nomar, that means you need a total of 2,620,000 worth of closed sales volume. If you change that up and you see that you divide that by 3%, if we can control that we're getting 3% on the sales, that closed sales volume comes down to 2,183,000. Does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Any questions?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So then if you take that, let's start with the 2,620,000, and you divide that by 175,000, that means you need 14.9 or 15 transactions. Now, if your closed sales volume is higher or lower, you would just divide that by your average sales price. So if your average sales price is higher, let's say you know that your average sales price is 200,000, then you need 13 transactions. If we go back and take that 2,183,000 and divide that by 175,000, which is the average sales price, you need 12 and a half, or let's call it 13 transactions, closed sales. Does that make sense to everybody? Any questions on that?
So for
Makes sense.
100,000 a year, you need 26 transactions, basically.
If yes, correct, add a 3% or yes. Okay, I think I'm losing people. I'm sorry. Yes, add 175,000. Kim, did I lose you? Did I go too fast?
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
Honestly, you did.
I'm
And
sorry.
I am. I've done this before, but one time is not enough to really know what
So-
you're really doing.
Of course.
So,
If I did
was
it on
just-
a whiteboard or did it in Excel, would that help you guys? If I took this screen down?
Yeah, definitely. If we did like a hands-on,
Okay.
right now, that would help a lot.
Okay, so let me do this. Give me just a second while we talk about this. And let me go to open Excel. I'm going to open Excel real quick, and then I will reshare the screen with you guys. Oops. Okay. Come back to you. We'll share screen and Excel will be a calculator for us. Okay. Everybody can see this screen, right?
Yes.
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 We'll add. Okay. Hopefully everybody can see this and it kind of makes some sense. So this is the net, this is the company dollar, and this is the gross.
Can you zoom in at all? I'm blind. Thank you. That's perfect.
Okay. All right, so we know that if this is a 2.5% commission, and this is why it's important to know your numbers because it can be so much of a variable, right? And I want to show you the difference on what that commission looks like, right? So if you take the 65.5 and you divide it by your 2.5% commission, that's your closed sales volume that you're going to need to have. You take your 65.5 and divide it by 0.0275, if that's your average commission, you can see how you need less closed sales volume. Does that make sense to everybody where we are right here? That if you want to, let's call it net 50, which means adding our company dollar to that. If you're at a 2.5% commission rate, you will need to close 2.6 in closed sales volume. If you know your average numbers are a 2.75% commission rate, you'll need to close 2.38. And if you're at a 3% commission, and it's going to range because sometimes you'll get 3, sometimes you'll have a 3-2 split, sometimes you'll have 2 or 2.5. So this kind of shows you a little bit of the different options. And then if we know our average sales price is 175,000, we take that divided by 175. That's not going to be a number. Sorry. It just Is this better for everybody to understand?
So that last number is that we need 15 closings to,
Yeah, if you're at a 2.5%
right, okay, gotcha.
for this amount, so it should just double if it's at 175K at 2.5%. If you know that you're getting 3%,
My question is, why is the commissions higher at 2.5 than at 3?
No, this isn't the commissions. This is the closed sales volume. This is the closed sales volume that you need.
Okay.
Let me just do this. Closed sales volume needed.
Okay. Understand now.
Thank y'all for asking, because apparently my brain. I don't mean to confuse y'all. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no.
Is that? Oh wait, I don't know what. Whoa. What? Okay. Does that help everybody understand? All right.
Yeah, that works for me.
Yes.
Okay. Hold on. Nida can't hear us. Any questions on that? Okay. I think Nida just got kicked out. All right, let's go back to, and I can share this with everybody if you need.
So Jody,
Yes.
quickly, so I can, when I go back and do this, when you got to E and F, like just in the first box, E2, just put in how you calculated that number. I know it was D2 divided by.
So it's your gross divided by the percent commission.
Right. So just can you make, okay, I see it up there. Like, can you note it in the box just one time so I can know how to remember how to calculate that number?
She's looking for the formula to show in the
Formula.
spreadsheet.
Yes. Right, there we go. Okay, gross to other commission. Okay, we're good.
Or yeah. Does that make sense?
That's it. Thank you.
And in command, Christy was asking where you can find this in command. Okay. Share. Okay. So are we back to the PowerPoint now? Can y'all all see the PowerPoint again? Okay.
Yes.
So in commands for those of us that are KW, when you log into command, you go to reports, and then at the top of that page, you're going to click on goals, and then you click add the little plus mark, add goal settings, and then get started. And then it will walk you through that process. You'll want to make sure that you select the year you're setting goals for. So do it for 2020. You'll set your annual profit goal. And you can even dive into your percentage of listings versus buyers. So if you have that and you know those numbers, and you know you might be more seller heavy, or maybe you're more buyer heavy, if you know your numbers. If you don't, that's okay. Just use 50-50 straight down the middle. Then you'll input your conversion rates. And if you don't know your conversion rates, you can just use what command has prompted for you. And then you review your goals, and then you click next. So what time is it? We can follow back up with you guys to input those into command. And if you need help putting those in, let us know and we can do a separate Zoom call. Thank you, Katie. Katie put how to do that in the comments. So if you need help with that, we can definitely do a separate Zoom call for that. Oh, look, it's already in here. Sorry, guys. You'll click your profit goal. You'll click your listings, your buyers. It doesn't have to be 50-50. And then you kind of complete that. Any questions?
Were you able to get that on your phone, Kelly?
It may be able to.
Oh, you just pulled that up on the screen.
Yeah,
I
this
know
is just part of the PowerPoint presentation. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. No, because I've been trying to get my Kelly, and I think I screwed mine up, and it's not pulling up the way it should. So unless
Okay.
I'm with it. Anyway, all right. Thank you.
Okay. We also have this in a spreadsheet formula. I know Deidre and Nicole probably use this as well in a spreadsheet formula. So if you want a copy of that, let us know and I'll send you that over. If you, I recommend for those of you that can to get it into command, and that way it'll help track everything for you as well. Yet if you're a paper kind of person, let me know. We'll send you that over. Okay. So now we're going to talk about doing the activities. Has everybody seen this 80-20 principle? Does anybody want to share what their thoughts are or what they think the 80-20 principle is?
20% of the agents get 80% of the business.
Yes. Thank you for sharing, Daryl. Who else?
20% of the agents that are active, well, 20% of the agents out there are producing 80% of what's being produced closing.
Yep.
So you have a small percentage of people that are doing most of the work.
Mm-hmm. Who wants to be in that 20%?
Me?
Nice. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So back in the 1940s, Dr. Duran documented a life-changing universal principle that he called the vital few and the trivial many. The idea was that a relatively small percentage of your efforts lead to the vast majority of your results. He had attributed some of his findings to the statistical work of the Italian economist Pareto, who had observed that 80% of the wealth in this country was owned by 20% of the population. As fate would have it, that broadly embraced principle came to be known as Duran's law, but as Pareto's principle. These days, we call it the 80-20 principle. It's the idea that 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your results, and maybe one of the most powerful principles that you can apply to your life. It's about getting the most from your time and effort. It's about maximizing your results, and it's about having focus. So on the screen, they talk about the big rocks. Does anybody know what we mean by big rocks?
I don't.
Okay. All right. Give everybody a minute. Anybody want to share? Take a guess?
So the big rocks, can y'all hear me? I'm trying to figure out, all I see is faces right now. I'm trying to get back. I got a little bit lost for a minute. I'm trying to figure out where I am and what I'm doing. But the big rocks are those things that are necessary in our businesses every day that we need to focus on every day. And those things include lead generating, getting listings, practicing those scripts, those are the things, that's that 20% that we must do every day. And those are the big rocks that
Mhm.
we need to focus on every day. Every day, every day.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. So you're right. Those big rocks are the most important activities of your day and those that cannot be skipped. Your little rocks are the distractions or the smaller tasks that need to be done but aren't going to get us materially closer to our goal. So as we were kind of talking about earlier, when we had talked about don't confuse movement for achievement, a lot of times we want to feel busy. We want to feel that we're being productive and we're working sometimes on those smaller tasks that make us feel accomplished yet don't get us closer to our goal. Does somebody want to read the quote on the screen?
What is the one thing you can do right now that would make everything else easier or unnecessary?
Okay. So while asking this question and thinking about this question is simple, it can definitely take some practice to dig down and find the best answer. So let's, and that is, I don't know if you can see this, like, oh, I have the, anyway, carry the one thing. That book will help you kind of dive into this and find the answer to that. Yet we can kind of talk about what we see activities and agents doing every day. And we know that this is how successful agents spend their time. So everything on this list will have to be done. We have to lead gen for buyers and sellers. We need to make those seller listing presentations and sign and get those listings. We need to work on our buyer presentations and set those buyer appointments so that we can, it says get the listings, but it's get the buyers, you know, get them under contract and preview real estate. We're trying to identify what is our 20% and what action will get us the most and best results so that we can do everything else. What do you guys feel for this is the one thing that would get you to success on the screen?
Making the calls.
Hmm?
If you don't make the calls, you, like they said, you won't have anything on the other side. If you don't grow, you don't have anything to run.
Yeah. Who else?
Making sure you have your systems in place too, to run that business.
What is the one thing, the one action that will get us the most and best results so that we can do everything else?
I would say, for me, being consistent with my time management skills, having a rhythm to how I function every day, especially Monday through Friday, and having those tools in place to be able to, you know, have a rhythm every day to what I do.
Yeah. Anyone else?
I think the most important thing is to be honest with yourself. We're all on these calls and we're setting goals, but if we just set them and then set them aside, we're not going to go anywhere. So you have to be realistic and hopefully, you know, set realistic goals, but then increase those goals as you continue to grow.
Absolutely. And guys, each one of our goals is different, right? So if we're here today and your goal is to sell 2 properties in the remainder of 2020, then we can work through that and set that plan for you to show you how to do that. If your goal is to, where are we? We're in 4, so we have 8 months left, right? If your goal is to sell 24 properties by the end of the year, right? Whatever your goal is, that's specific for you. So let us know how we can help you with setting that goal and setting the parameters around it to reach it. don't compare. It's so easy to compare your goals to somebody else's goals, and maybe feel that your goals don't measure up. So it's important just to know what you want, and don't worry about what the person above you, aside from you, next to you, what their goals are. So, okay. So again, as we've said for the last couple days, that lead generating is that one thing that we need to do in our business every day so that everything else will fall into place. If we're not doing the lead generation, then we're not having the opportunities to make the seller appointments or make the buyer appointments or even preview that real estate. Okay, the 411. This is where we dive into how many appointments and how many transactions. So we've set that annual goal, and we know what our annual goal is as far as based on what profit that we want to make. So whether we're looking at 6 transactions, whether we're looking at 15 transactions, whether you're looking at 24 transactions, that's where your annual goals are going to go into. And then you're going to break that into monthly. So for some people, they like to see it on an annual level, a quarterly level, and then a monthly level. So just for the sake of numbers and just for ease of calculating, let's just say our goal is 12 properties a year, or we can do 24. What would y'all prefer?
24.
Okay, let's do 24, just 2 a month, right? And if you're not there, that's okay. Don't let it overwhelm you. So we know for 24 that we need to do 2 a month. This is on page 7 in your participant guide, and then we'll also get you a digital copy if you don't already have it. So we're going to use our five rectangles. You can do this 411 on a business level, and you can do it on a personal level. So on the personal level, if you have some goals to, let's say, focus on your kids' schooling or focus on donating to a charity, you can break it up from annually to monthly. And then once you break it up to monthly, what do you need to do each week in order for you to hit that monthly goal? Does that make sense?
Yes.
So we know on the, let's use 24. So our monthly goal would be 2 closings a week. So as you go through, how are you going to ensure that you are going to have 2 closings or 2 under contract a month? How many buyers do you need to be working with? How many sellers do we need to be working with? And once some of that is broken down and you know what you need to do on a weekly basis, and then you'll redo that form every month, right? Once you know that, then you can stay focused, which a few of you guys had mentioned this morning, on your goals where it's not so overwhelming. It'll help you create and build your business momentum, knowing what you have to do on a weekly basis. You'll know how many calls you need to make. And again, it goes back to knowing your numbers. You'll know how many calls, how many care calls, how many calls to your sphere and to your past clients that you need to make in order to get a referral or in order to get an appointment. And then once you know that conversion rate, you can input that into command. Anybody have any questions on that?
I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. So we know the day-to-day life of successful agents can be repetitive. We know that our routine produces the results that we need to live the life that we want. And a lot of times we love that grind. And that's what kind of keeps some of us going. And once you start seeing what you're working towards, once it pays off, that rhythm just kind of keeps going. I think sometimes where we get stuck is we feel we're working, we're making calls, we're trying to set appointments, and nothing's sticking. Maybe we can't get anything under contract, or the buyer hasn't found that house, and we feel that we're working, yet just kind of keep keep moving forward and pressing towards the goal, and everything will fall in. If you guys have your participant guide open, if y'all want to turn to page 8.
I'm there, Jody.
Okay. And it's affirming your big life. So it's writing a personalized affirmation statement in order you to anchor your daily activities to your vision and your big life. So a strong affirmation is measurable, specific, and states your motivation. And what this is designed to do, it's a little ritual. Some may feel it's silly, yet as you're kind of doing this, it helps you bring your focus and it helps you bring into purpose. So if you think back to your big life and the goals that you've set for yourself, think about those people or causes that you named as something that you deeply cared about, and that should be right in front of you. So we're going to use that person or that thing to create an affirmation. And then you say that affirmation aloud when you begin a new task. And the key to creating a powerful affirmation is to be specific, and you tie the activity you are doing to the greater goal and remind yourself of why your work matters. And that kind of leads into, if many of you know of Simon Sinek, and I'm not sure if you've read his book, Start With Why, this allows you to lead with your why. So there's an example on that page. And it says, for those of you that maybe don't have it in front of you, it says, I'm making this call to provide for my parents by paying off their house because they supported and provided for me, and I want to enable them to retire with confidence. There might be another one that says, I'm making this call to provide for my mom by paying off her house because she provided for me, and I want to show that I appreciate her. Or it could be something like, I'm making this call to support the Ronald McDonald House by paying for families to stay there because I want to reduce the number of suffering families with sick children. Do you guys see how maybe creating that statement of affirmation can make the difference of making the calls that you have to and making the calls because you want to?
Yep.
Does anybody have an affirmation statement already created, or does anybody want to talk about what their affirmation statement could be? And again, this is something that can evolve. Anybody?
I have one that can be used.
Okay.
I'm experienced in real estate, and the knowledge that I have, the new sellers and buyers have need of.
Okay.
Something similar to that.
Yeah. That's awesome. So Joan sharing that her affirmation is that she has something to offer. She has knowledge and education that she wants to share with her buyers and sellers. Anybody else? Why are you guys in real estate? Why do you want to sell? Why do you want to? Why do you want to work with buyers? Why do you want to work with sellers?
To fund the big why.
Okay. Anybody else wants to? Go ahead. I'm sorry, Kim, go ahead.
I know why, I just don't know how to like put it into words to explain it to someone else.
What would you say to yourself? Doesn't necessarily have to be explained to somebody else. What would be, because we want to use it as an affirmation like we do in Bold. We want to use it as an affirmation to ourselves to, you know, even if it's starting with I'm the greatest salesperson, right? That we knew from Bold. What is going to be encouraging to you to, instead of having to make the calls and having to lead generate, what can you say to yourself where you're going to want to get up and make those calls? If you look at it maybe from that way.
And I feel like this should tie in with some of the rectangles that we all filled in earlier, you
Yes.
know?
So I would say probably at the end of the day, my goal is always to be an educator to people. And what I know, what I've learned, and I can use my knowledge to be able to share with other people to educate them so that they're knowledgeable and understandable about, you know, things in life. And so, you know, I'm not educated about everything. If it comes down to like money, I'm not the person to want to educate somebody about that, right? But in terms of real estate, having knowledge, investment opportunities, buying or selling houses, I'm very knowledgeable in those aspects. And every day my goal is, my intention is not to do business with anybody without having them being educated and knowing what they need to know to make the best possible decisions that they can make, you know. So,
Absolutely. So,
you know, so at the end of the day, the goal is for people to increase and to build, whether it's wealth or whatever they're trying to do, is to increase them and not decrease them. If that makes any sense to what I'm saying.
Absolutely. So very similar to along what Joan was mentioning, that so you can maybe put something together like, I'm making this call so that I can provide the services or the education and knowledge to my potential clients to positively impact their lives.
I'm making this call this morning because it will allow me the freedom that I need and also allow me to help my mom, to give her the freedom and stress, you know, less stress, a better quality of life. And also leave a legacy that I hope my nieces and nephew will want to follow.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing.
You're quite welcome.
It's Linda. I'm making this call to help families find their dream homes and to help the quality of life for homeless people, and for me to live out my dream of elevating others through my desire and knowledge of the market.
That's awesome. Thank you.
Sounding like mission statements, huh?
Yes.
Yes, I love this.
You know what, you could have some that are something like, I am making this call because I want to complete renovations on my home, and I know that making these calls will allow me to do that, right? It can go as deep as family. It can go as deep as your mission statement. It could go as, I'm making this call because I want to buy, you know, I want to fund the next semester for my child's education, right? What, just different affirmations. It doesn't need to be locked down to one. You could have several of them. thank you for sharing for those that did.
One of mine is, like she said, connected with, I have this little car that I've owned it's almost 20 years now. But the car runs, but she needs a little doctoring. So I look forward to the day when I can go topless again with my little convertible, because she's well and she's ready to go.
Yeah. That's awesome. Anybody else want to share some of their affirmations? And guys, just as a reminder, if affirmations are something that you need help with or something that you want to talk out, we can certainly do that offline. We can do another Zoom call. We can do a phone call on that. So if you want help with it, please don't be afraid to ask. We're here to help you and kind of walk you through that. Okay. Somebody want to read what's on the screen?
Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of.
Awesome. Absolutely. So one of the things, goals without accountability are just wishes. And we're more likely to do what we've said we're going to do if we know that we have an accountability partner that we must answer to someone. Who has an accountability partner? Okay. Got two cool videos, maybe I can't see. So we do have a few. And I know for some of our agents in productivity coaching, your productivity coach is your accountability partner. Who would like to have an accountability partner? Who would like to partner with somebody or pair up with somebody to have an accountability partner?
I have one also.
Okay, awesome. All right, so doesn't look like a whole lot of people are excited about partnering with accountability partner if they don't have one already. Yet if you guys, I highly recommend that. So if we can help you find someone to partner with an accountability, we know that having that accountability partner, it allows you to be successful. It allows you to continue with achieving the results that you want for the goals that you've set. Sometimes accountability partners just partner with sharing their 411 with each other, identifying your annual goals, your weekly goals, setting up a time to check in with each other, discuss their progress, celebrate each other's victories, and encourage each other through opportunities. And we're happy to be your accountability partners. Your leadership team is happy to do that with you, as well as partner you with another agent as well, or even a friend. And it's on so many levels, right? You can have one accountability partner for real estate. You can have one accountability partner for your spiritual life. You can have one accountability partner for financial, and you can have one for health and wellness. For each aspect of your life, it doesn't have to be the same person. And it can change at different times. Okay. So how's everybody doing today after this?
Better.
Good. Good. This was great.
Any big ahas? You want to talk about some ahas? So on page 9 of your participant guide, there's like a little recap. It's called a recap and create success list. It talks about how your thinking has changed. What do you feel differently about? What was meaningful? How will your behaviors be different going forward? What actions will you take? What tools, models, or systems will you use, and how will they make you accountable? So if y'all want to take some time to talk about your ahas.
Well, for me, just going over the goals, like the GCI sheets and stuff, I have to keep it visible. Mm-hmm. Because it's definitely good information and motivation, and it lets you know, okay, I'm slacking, or if I'm on target, or whatever. So for me, I just think that I need to make sure that it's visible daily, okay, so that I stay on track.
For me, Stephanie, this session this morning, I've done them before and broken it down into number of deals and stuff. But this time I actually broke it all the way down to, okay, I have an LLC, and instead of me paying a market, center, I'm paying MS Realty, and then I'm paying myself. But looking at and actually forming a budget. This money goes here, this money goes there, and it makes things far more visible. And okay, you know how some people are like, when you go to an organization and say, can you sponsor so-and-so? They say, oh, well, we'd like to, but we've exhausted our budget for that for the year. If you have a budget and you know that you've allocated a certain amount of money toward, everything that you're trying to achieve, when you hit that, or, when you're not, you haven't hit it, or you're coming short, it helps to put you maybe back in check. So those are some things that really resonated with me this morning.
Awesome. Who else? Who else has an aha about maybe how their thinking has changed, or what they need to do differently, or what something that was meaningful?
Well, I would say, like, I'm gonna call it the affirmation statement, or focus, or mission. I need to, it's been in my head, but I need to put it in writing even more now than ever before, because of the many calls that we make every day. And we just don't feel like the fruit of the labor is forthcoming right now, or it's coming to fruition at this moment. But just reminding myself to stay the course and not to get discouraged right now in the process. I'm not discouraged because I'm seeing, the need for those calls, and but I want to see a greater need. I guess more than that, I just want to see a greater need, because I need to turnkey some stuff, right? So just having that written down and like visually seeing it every day, that'll keep me keep my mind focused and keep me on my grind every day.
Yep.
I think my biggest affirmation was using the model, because it kept it concise, so that it was easier for me to go on and write my my daily affirmation. It just hit all the key points for me.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. So thank you guys for sharing that and taking the time to reflect on what we've learned. Is important to not only kind of know where we're going, but it helps us to build our confidence and celebrating our growth. So we'll kind of take some time to do this, as you know, through each activity, so we can kind of keep track of what we're learning and what we're seeing. Oh, sorry. Behind success habits. So for success habits, we know that we need to build our database, script practice or role play, lead gen, and then kind of work on some contracts. So let's look at some goals, and we know that we need to double down. So right now, if you guys are adding 10 contacts a day, or we're having 10 conversations a day, perhaps writing some handwritten notes. Home previews, I would say that going out there and doing some home previews, 10 a week, may not be the wisest of what we should do. However, maybe it's getting online and flipping through some properties, checking out some of their videos. So if we've got the opportunity, maybe start having 20 conversations a day to double down on that. Start writing some handwriting notes. Just keep in mind, we've got a great opportunity right now just to love on people and just to make care calls, which will set us up for that next round when we're earning the right to ask for their business. And then we'll work on scripts together. We've got some scripts, and if you guys want to partner up, we can definitely do that as well. Scripts on lead generating, scripts to help us uncover motivation, to identify objections. We know we're working with some objections on buyers and sellers right now, to some buyers and sellers right now that maybe they don't want to list, or they want to take their house off the market, or they're not quite ready to buy. Closing deals, learning to speak in terms that the customer understands. A lot of times we might use some different terms, or we forget that we might need to break it down to them. And of course, doing scripts and role play helps us to internalize and build confidence. Any questions or comments on those?
Yep, good job.
So in our normal 4-hour course on this, we would take a few minutes and talk about scripts and role plays and practice, yet we're just going to put that to the side. Make sure, I believe in one of the other emails that Katie had sent out for the recaps, there was a link to the do not call compliance. I believe that may have been day 2 or day 3. So if you guys need that, let us know. Then you're going to take time in real life to lead gen, go over your affirmation statements before. Maybe your affirmation might be, I always come from contribution. People will welcome my call. They're home, they'll answer, they'll be excited to talk to me. Then you can take the time to update your contacts, whether it's in your phone, in command, on your spreadsheet, and then do some follow-up calls. Could be a little note, could be an email, could be just setting it up for whenever you need to. And that is working with commands. Keep diving into commands and connect. And here's a success list. So maybe the task, and you can kind of look at it, is it a priority? What should I do? And does it need to be done? And that will help you stay in your 80%. It'll help you stay in your 20%. 20% of what you do in your business is going to lead you 80% of your results. Questions, comments? Did y'all get value out of this?
Yes, very valuable. Thank you, Jody.
Are y'all excited to go do some lead gen and some lead follow-up?
Getting back to basics, yes.
We've got an affirmation statement to lead us into them now.
Absolutely. Guys, and if y'all need help with your affirmation statement or with diving into those goals more, please let me know. Happy to do that with you guys.
And as a little follow-up to that, tomorrow's Ignite at 10 a.m. is deliver your value proposition. So I think that could definitely, help and furthermore with the affirmations and things like that.
Sales meetings at 9. Yes.
Meetings at 9? Is that
Team
a color?
meeting?
Team meeting.
Yes.
Team meeting.
Yes. And Stephanie, you're welcome to join us as well on the team meeting if you'd like.
Okay, all right. Well, obviously it's going to be online. Okay.
It is.
Sometimes you're too smart for your own good, Jeez. Oh, goodness. And you got to be able to laugh at yourself, y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool.
Yes.
Well, I'm super excited. I think we had like 25 or 26 people on at some point today. So I know we went a few minutes over, yet thank you. I'm grateful for you guys.
Thank you so much, Jody, for this.
Great.